Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are kicking off this video here with our nightcap of Saturday's first round play-in games here in the NBA playoffs. It is the Nuggets headed to the Bay Area, taking on the Golden State Warriors, who are at full strength for the first time in a long time. Talking about Draymond, Iggy, and Steph, and Clay all being on the floor in this one. So we will take a look at some of the best bets we like in it, perhaps some player props as well. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page, as we will continue to bring you each and every playoff game video throughout the playoffs here, and a player props video each and every day as well. So you do want to make sure you're liked and subscribed there. And also head to thelines.com. Make sure you're checking out that odds checker we have for you. Make sure you're getting the best juice available out there from those odds makers. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or a DraftKings account, head to ftpicks.com or dkpicks.com. Find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, 4 games on Saturday. We got the Mavs +5 at home against Dallas with the 1 p.m. start. That totals down to 209. We like the over despite Luka being out. I think you're getting some great value there. Wolves are +7 at Memphis with a total all the way up at 236. We'll have to see what happens in that game. Raptors +4.5 at Philly. Totals 216 there. Definitely an intriguing matchup to watch. And then we get to this one, where the Nuggets are +6 at Golden State. Total is 223. Steph Curry is expected. He's probable to play in game 1. He's been out almost a month now with a foot sprain, and that made the Warriors -260 to win the series. Nuggets, I believe, still no sign of Michael Porter Jr. or Jamal Murray returning to give them help. So, I mean, it's been a wild ride, but I don't really see them winning this series with no help for Joker, and with Draymond Green potentially exerting his will on the defensive end against the Joker. I mean, it took a little while for Dre to come back to his full form, but I mean, you see in the numbers go back to where he usually is, and that's without Steph on the floor. So you don't see as many of those offensive numbers because of how much they impact each other on that end. But his individual defensive rating down below 100 in his last 3 home games, feeding off that crowd. You look at what he's done against the Joker, really held him pretty much, below his otherworldly averages in terms of 23 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists with a 115 offensive rating. Joker usually over a 130 offensive rating. So we're going up against Draymond, and I mean, the Warriors, they're just forming. They're getting healthy at the right time. With Iggy now back as well, those 2 playoff veterans with Clay out there, his defense is also ramped up as he's gotten healthier. I think it's really about the defense here more than predicting Steph is going to come back and just light him up right away. He hasn't had the most success against Denver this season. It was a struggle bus 2 games ago at 86-89 win right after the All-Star break, because it was just Steph, Gary Payton, and Andrew Wiggins scoring double figures in that game. But I don't think we'll quite see that kind of low-scoring battle, but I don't think we'll quite see a shootout the way they combine for 231 the next meeting. Denver's the number 1 3-point defense on the road. So that's the most important thing to remember when you're going up against the Warriors is, can they limit you? I think if you're looking at a team total, I actually want to take the Warriors under at 114.5, which is even money. But I like the under for the game too, 223, and I still like the Warriors to win. I just don't like them to score 115. So I would look at ways to tease that. Maybe you want to tease the under up to 227 and get those dubs down to -2, which I think they will handle at home.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm staying the hell away from the spread until I see game 1 and see. I'm not saying it's necessarily going to just be indicative of everything we're going to see after that, but I guess more even than talking about it through the lens of game 1 in terms of being scared of picking the dubs, I'm more scared. I would not touch -260. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a huge fan of that line. The reason being, to be honest with you, is one of these guys goes down again between Steph, Dre, Clay. what we're talking about here. So I'm not like betting on them to get hurt. I'm betting on the fact that like it's still a bit of a question mark to me that we are going to see exactly what we saw, obviously 3 years ago, but even more so, at the beginning of the season when it was just Steph and Draymond as the leaders of the team with Jordan Poole doing his thing on offense, it was still a team that relied on defense. And I think they're going to get back to that. And I think this week and a half definitely helped Draymond. Once again, I want to see where they're all at together at the same time. I don't think it's going to take time for them to click. I think more so I want to see how Draymond's back is going. It's a back. It's not like it's a bruised finger that he can tape to another finger. It's his back. Right. So I need to know how that looks at this point. Steph being back, even if he's not 100%, him being on the floor at like 85% is still, one, obviously better than, most players in the history of the game. But two is also is so important, more so than most players just being on the court, because obviously we know how he stretches the floor and what he does to make Klay Thompson available, who you cannot double if Steph Curry is on the floor. You can't double either of them. That's part of their magic together. So I still believe more so in the Dubs. I just don't think there's any value on taking them. If you do think that they, if you feel like they're, because it's question marks. If you think they're ready to go, then what are you getting for minus 260? If you think there's a question about whether they're ready to go, and you add that question to, are they ready? Will one of them potentially even get hurt and just totally change the balance of the series? You could consider that as well. So that's the series talk. In this one, I do think we're going to get back to seeing at least closer to what the Dubs were before that, Draymond went down, and that happened on January 9th. And so a lot of the stats, you look at for them before January 9th, they were 6-12-3 to the over, which means they went under, right, or pushed in 15 of 21 games to start the season at home, 15-5-1 against the spread, including covering against the Nuggets there. And that, was all, as you mentioned, really due to the fact that they had a 98.8 defensive rating, allowing 99 points a game, also scoring about 113. So just blowing teams out. But really they were, they'd blow teams out because they were limiting on defense, and they're the number one 3-point shooting team even before Klay got back, just with Steph and Jay Poole in there. You're talking about, it's about 16 made threes a game, which is number one, and 38% from three, number 3 in the league, so all of that to say, like, I think the under is a way better play here. I think this total should be a lot closer to like 215.5, 216.5, to be honest. And it's one of those things where I might, because I don't really care to touch the spread in game one, and until I get a little bit better sense of this, I just might even take an alternate spread down to like 219, 218, get about plus 135, plus 145 on my money, depending where you like it.
Or it's interesting that you just read off that they covered in 15 of 21 and they went under in 15 of 21 to start the season. Sounds like a correlation there. Maybe you just want Dubs money line and under. I feel you, because I'm the same way with the Celtics here. I'm not willing to just believe that the team I love is going to go out and handle business. But from a distance here, I think the Warriors are going to win this game one here. I think that there's just you can try to convince yourself that, the supporting cast around Joker feels disrespected, and they're going to go out and prove that it's not just Joker and a bunch of backup dancers. But at some point, like, talent is going to win out here, and the Warriors have 4 Hall of Famers almost out there, and just so much playoff acumen. But yeah. I mean, more just in support of the under, you look at Denver going over in 7 of their last 10 road games, right, with a really good defensive rating in there, which is, first of all, important for what I'm saying, Warriors under. But then they went over in just 4 of 15 games against quality teams or teams that slow the pace a little bit. Yeah. And the Dubs do slow the pace when they get into the playoffs. They've also gone under in 7 of their last 9 at home. The 2 exceptions were when Steph came back, had his first game with Draymond. It was Draymond's first game back, but Steph went off for 49 points right away. Against Washington. I mean, let's take that with a grain of salt. And then the other one against the Lakers with no LeBron, AD, or even Russ. And the Warriors defense is back to where it was. They're number 1 in field goal defense in that span, allowing second fewest assists, allowing 108 points per game, where they were allowing 99 at the early part of the season when Draymond was fully healthy. And the pace is down below 98. The pace for Denver last season in the playoffs the last couple seasons. Actually, you look back, last season it was 96, and then the season before that, when they had Jamal Murray cooking, it was 94, and they were still only scoring 107 points per game. Now, I mean, their defense was just so much worse in the playoffs because Michael Porter Jr. was out there posting an individual 122 defensive rating, and he helped their offense go up by 7 points as well. Neither of those guys being a factor right now. I'm just more looking at slower pace. Jokic knowing he has to pace himself, knowing what he has to do all over the floor for this team. I like unders across the board basically, and I do think that the Warriors, that plays into their hands if it's going to be a low scoring game in clutch time.
Definitely. I think, one last thing, interestingly, that you said a minute ago, too, was the team total for the Dubs is minus 140. If you want it at 114.5, right? Yeah. The total of the game is 223.5, and the Dubs are favored by 4.5. To do the math for you at home,
they're favored by 6.
Essentially, they're up by 6.5 now. Damn, this keeps going up. There's no way I can take that in game one. Either way, I think there's some value on the Dubs under as well, but I think there's value on it because, or I'm sorry, I'm not saying there's value on it. I'm saying you're getting better odds for it in a way, and the math adds up that it's you're getting a decent sort of bet for, you're getting a decent return for betting on that 114.5 essentially, because it's not nearly out of the question that the Splash Brothers go off, that Steph gets around 40 points. Maybe Clay has like 25. Jordan Poole, by the way, is also out there. Maybe he's close to 18, right? And now you're talking about a lot of points for them and what have you. And we'll see how that goes. But I do think like the main point that we're making about this under is that we think the total is too high because the Dubs are back to what they were at the beginning of the season with that incredible defensive rating. There's a little bit of a bloated line total there because of the fact that on the road, the Nuggets have been playing so incredibly well offensively against awful teams, against the Kings, against the Blazers, the Kings twice, the Blazers, the Lakers, the Wizards, right? Just all bottom feeders who just don't play defense, especially don't play defense down low against the best center and probably MVP. Well, let's say one of the top 2 centers in the league. So no one Philly gets mad. But then you look at, like you were saying, the previous 15 games before their last 10 where they were playing against all these duty offense or defenses, they were playing against really good defenses like Boston, Toronto, even the Thunder who chop it up and slow it down, Dallas and the Clippers. And when you play against those teams, they're talking about a 97.5 pace. That's bottom 10 in the league, a 109 offensive rating, also bottom 10 in the league. And I'm not saying it's going to be that bad. I think Joker can do okay and he can get assists, but other guys on his team, need to put the ball in the basket for him to even record those assists. And that's where we don't have nearly as much confidence. And this game's gonna have to slow down and he's gonna have to shoot the ball every time or at least have it in his hands for the majority of each possession down the stretch if they're gonna have any shot at this. So either way, that bodes well for unders. And I think money line for the Dubs is where I'd lead before I thought about a 7-point spread for them in a game that I don't think will be a blowout unless like as we said, the two Splash Bros go unconscious from 3, which is never, ever out of the question until they're not playing basketball anymore. So that is all the time we have for you in this one, y'all. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. We're going to continue to bring you every single playoff game throughout this season. And until we see you next, happy betting.